Well, hello and welcome to another Daily Dominion. We have Wednesday, so this means we have two expansions mixed together. And this time it's Dark Ages with cornucopia and guilds. And yeah, this looks like a very interesting kingdom, so let's start discussing it. As always, feel free to skip the explanation of the cards. But yeah, let's go. There is Farrier, which is in itself a pleasant effect, plus one card and an action and a buy. And it also has a super strong overpay effect, because it's basically draw as long as you get to overpay a bunch, and as long as there are Farriers remaining in the pile. So per one coin you can overpay for this 2-cost card, you will draw one card at the end of this turn. So if you pay 5 for a Farrier, you will draw 8 cards for the next turn, which is, yeah, incredible, especially in the absence of discard attacks. And yeah, super strong card. Might look innocent at just 2, but it is one of those power cards of the new second edition Cornucopia and Guilds. Then there's Advisor. Plus one action, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. The player to your left chooses one of them, discard that card, and put the rest into your hand. Well, this is basically a lab for 4. We've seen this a few times already. Can be a somewhat nice supplementary draw, but yeah, is also situationally a little annoying and bad if you have a somewhat junky deck. Next up, Death card. Death card itself on play. You may trash this or an action card from your hand for +5. So you will need to trash something to get this +5. And to facilitate this, when you gain this, you also gain 2 ruins. And ruins is this funky pile that consists of 10 randomly shuffled cards of this variety. These 4 plus Abandoned Mine, which is on top this time. And yeah, there could be 5 Abandoned Mines and 4 or 5 survivors in there. We don't know. They're completely randomized. And so when you buy Death card, you will also gain 2 ruins, or when you gain Death card in general, which is a reason to not open it, because then you will have a junky deck with ruins, which are usually not very good cards that you don't want to have in your deck. And then also if the Death card and ruins misalign, then you will need to trash the Death card and will be left with the ruins in your deck, which is not super great. But yeah, it can situationally be okay payload. Then the next one is Ironmonger. Plus one card and an action, and then depending on the top card of your deck, which we'll reveal afterwards, it is either a village, a peddler, or a lab. Very nice. Can sometimes be a bit annoying if you rely on it being a village and you only reveal treasures, but overall it also helps you sift because you may discard the card that you revealed afterwards. Yeah, pretty pleasant, strong village type card. Marauder. On play, you gain a spoils, and each other player gains ruins. A spoils is a disappearing gold. So when you play spoils, you will return it to the spoils pile. And so the spoils will stay in your deck, out of your deck after the first play, and the ruins will stay in the opponent's deck. So it's a mild junker, looter. But usually on the weaker side, because it's a terminal action that on play doesn't do anything for you, and you will have to draw the spoils to actually be able to play it. Next up, Procession, one of the more complicated cards of the set, certainly, because Procession lets you double play a non-duration action card from your hand, and then you will need to trash that card, and gain an action card costing exactly 1 more than it. The most broken synergy of procession is with horses, but that's not um, that's not available here. Also notable is that when you process a Farrier, which would give you 2 cards and 2 actions for having 2 cards played, would yield you no other card because there is no action card costing exactly 3. But still, it might be useful to trash rats into something else. Although we need to be careful to not end up with a deck full of rats. Because yeah, rats is the next card to discuss. On play plus a card and an action, and you gain a rats. You also need to trash a card from your hand then. That is not a rats, or if you have only rats in hand at that time, you reveal a hand full of rats. And also when you trash this, you get +1 card. And yeah, this means, and this pile also consists of 20 cards instead of 10. This means that if you're not careful and don't have other treasures in your deck, you will end up with a deck full of rats, and which will basically be able to do nothing. So I've been in that position, over ratting, but it can be situationally a quite fun card. And also notable is that if you have all of your payload and action cards in play, but then have a rats in your hand and the rats in your discard pile, you can just pile out the rats with without any consequences, given that you don't have any other hand cards, of course. Next up, there's Band of Misfits, which lets you play a non-command action card. So Band of Misfits itself is a command type card. There are a few others, but none of them are here. It lets you play an action card costing less than this, leaving it there. So we can use it to play death cards and processions and rats, whatever, without actually having to have the card in our deck. There is a thing going on with death card. That means that we cannot use the trashed this clause of death card because we need to leave it in the supply when we play Band of Misfits. And yeah, playing a death card without an action from the hand to trash will just leave us with nothing, having wasted our action. But yeah, this seems like quite a nice kingdom for Band of Misfits, especially with the procession, being able to turn ironmongers or even rats into Band of Misfits and then trashing rats to death card. Already looking not all too bad, but it might take a while to come together. There's Junk Dealer, which is a peddler, but also forces you to trash a card from your hand afterwards. Very simple. And finally, there's a Rogue, which on play gives 2. And if there's any cards in the trash costing between 3 and 6, you need to gain one of them. Otherwise, you attack the other player by revealing their top 2 cards, and they need to trash one costing between 3 and 6. So basically, this prevents Rogue from being an attack on every play, and also lets you defend yourself by putting cards costing between 3 and 6 into the trash. All right, this has been it for discussing the kingdom. Let's talk strategy. I already said a few things during the card discussion. There is Farrier, which is always very strong, and you need to try to think how you can make it work to be your primary draw, or not, maybe not primary draw, but a part of your draw. There is this weird thing with Band of Misfits, processions, ironmongers, and rats that we might be able to make work if our deck gets thin enough. I think, the game plan is to get thin. So we try to hit 5 early to get a Junk Dealer into our deck, and then a few Band of Misfits just for the flexibility. And while we have that junk dealer, or as soon as we have the junk dealer, I think we're going to start overpaying for Farriers to have large hand sizes to work with and see the junk dealer more often. And then with the Band of Misfits and the flexibility it offers, we might take one or two, we might just play a Band of Misfits as rats to get rats in our deck. And then we might use Band of Misfits on death card as payload, trashing rats. But we need to be really careful to not over-rat ourselves, to not rat ourselves out. Okay, opening-wise, on the 4-3 or 3-4, they're equivalent. No, well, not strictly equivalent here because of Farrier, but I think I like opening Ironmonger Silver in any case, because having the silver in the deck will be useful to both hit 5 and also to overpay Farriers. And Ironmonger is just a nice, very pleasant sifting card that will let us, well, during the first shuffle it will almost be like a lab, because if it finds and discards a copper, it's as if we had drawn that copper. And then, yeah, try to hit 5 as soon as possible, as I said. On the 5-2, I would just open Junk Dealer and Farrier. The Farrier without an overpay is still a nice card, might be situationally good. But yeah, one final thing we can do is look at the kingdom plot I've generated. It's a very nice engine-ish kingdom. Both Rogue and Marauder are counting towards the weaker attacks. That's why this attack bar is a little lower. But yeah, there's gaining through Procession and Farrier with plus buy. There is thinning through Junk Dealer. There, and technically also action thinning through Death Card and Procession. There is draw in, well, Ironmonger a bit, Advisor a bit, and Farrier a bunch. And there's Village in Ironmonger and Procession. Yeah, let's start the game. As I said, let's just open Ironmonger Silver. The AI overpays 1 for its Farrier. That's also an interesting angle, trying to hit 5 that way. Let's see whether it is successful. Yes, it is. This is a bit bad, of course, but we do hit 5 here as well. So next turn we can just overpay on this Farrier and hope to get through our deck quickly that way. Now this revealing this Farrier isn't great because it's an action we don't need, of course, and also we're not finding our junk dealer, or the junk dealer is in there somehow. Next turn we will have the junk dealer and the overgrown estate in the next cards. So I think I like just overpaying a bunch. Like, we could go for another junk dealer or a Band of Misfits, but we are going to trigger the next shuffle, so one option would be to put another junk dealer in or to just draw through it, try to draw through it a bunch. I like doing that. And since we have the Farrier here, we get to, well, see, we get to go through all of this junk, but here we can now pick up a Band of Misfits and again overpay 3. Nice, we find a junk dealer again. Let's first see what we have here. Again, a useless Farrier reveal. Now here, I think I like one consideration would be to just play rats to get a bit further and get the rats into our deck. We could also play an Ironmonger to reveal. So I think these cards are 3 coppers. Just reveal a copper, discard it, get through the shuffle a bit further that way. But we can also just use the death card to trash our Necropolis. We're not going to need the actions. And put another Band of Misfits in. And again, overpay a bunch for Farrier. Right, AI trashes its necropolis as well. Let's start by playing Ironmonger, again just revealing an action, which isn't great, but what can you do? Do find the junk dealer here. Now, do we want to have rats in our deck already? This is tricky. Yeah, I think I like putting in a rats now to next turn do some rat stuff. And then we can just trash this junk dealer for a bunch of money. Overpay once again for this Farrier. And the question is whether we are greedy and get another Band of Misfits, or whether we just say, let's play it safe and overpay a lot here. And then I think we are doing good here, because now that we can process the rats already to gain more Bands of Misfits and put more rats into our deck. Let's play this Ironmonger for once we find the copper. Yeah, let's just play this Band of Misfits on this rats. Need to trash 2 of the coppers, but we do get to put 2 more rats in and gain another Band of Misfits. Now here we can draw this rats, once again just process it. We are able to get a bunch of Bands of Misfits in. Let's do this once more, I think, and then use the last 3 Bands of Misfits for death carting. I think I like that. Because we can draw those. And yeah, just death card these rats away. And already we are at, wait, let me actually look for whether we do have a win here, because this looks suspiciously like we might have a win. If we play the Band of Misfits as a procession and then get all of those 3 Bands of Misfits in play, we can get a bunch of rats and turn them into so we can use the first Band of Misfits on the rats to trash the silver. That's a sacrifice we'll need to make. And then we'll just reveal a handful of rats. Then we will be able to play a Band of Misfits as a death card, trashing a rats, drawing us into the new Band of Misfits, which we'll also be able to play as a procession. The question is then, we do need to do the same, procession rats into Band of Misfits as death card. Oh man, this is hurting my brain. The question is, are we going to have enough money afterwards to do 2 Bands of Misfits and 2 Bands of Misfits and 2 Farriers for 14 money and an estate, which is yeah, we would need to play 3 Bands of Misfits. No, yeah, 3 Bands of Misfits as death cards. So if we just play this as procession, this as procession, this as procession, now double play the rats, get the Band of Misfits in, That leaves us with another Band of Misfits play as the first as death card, drawing us Band of Misfits. We use up this second play to play the Band of Misfits twice again. First as Procession, then as Death card, drawing us into the last Band of Misfits, which we'll just play as Death card, and then, yeah, I think this works, unless I've miscounted. Let's play it out. I'm kind of scared of just completely misjudging it, but I think it just works. Now we can play this as Procession again, to play this as Procession, 2 times the reds thing, this as Death card. Now this also as Death card. And now we can, I didn't really explain this well, but just pile out those rats and end actions. We have 10. We don't want to overpay here. And get to buy this estate for the perfect pile out. Wow. That was insane. Now, yeah, I'm quite happy I found that. I have to admit that I thought about this kingdom a bit during the day, and I usually check the daily channel, and I saw people doing it really quickly, but I didn't imagine it to go so well. And yeah, that was a nice find the win situation, I guess. But I was also really scared of having made a mistake in counting there and just ending up with a coin or a buy short. No, but it worked out just fine enough. And yeah, I hope you found this to be instructive. Here are the final decks. Our beautiful Band of Misfits Rats Ironmonger deck with a bunch of Farrier. Here's the hard AI's deck. I think hard AI did okayish stuff, but you cannot go against 9 turns that just piles out of nowhere. I mean, before this turn, there were, what, 6 Bands of Misfits still in the pile, 15 rats, 2 Farriers. I didn't think it would have been possible, but I just checked it and got it. Yeah, fun. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will try to catch you next time. Goodbye.